If you're a Doves fan, of course, that was a long, painful loss as the Rockets led wire to wire and winning game 2, 109-94. But the Warriors do get the split down in Houston as the series shifts back to the Bay for game number 3 Saturday evening. But obviously the big story is Jimmy Butler. He'll get an MRI tomorrow on his pelvis contusion, which he suffered late in the first quarter. And hopefully he'll be ready to go at some point during the series, because we know the Warriors need Jimmy Butler if they want to outlast this young, hungry Rockets team who played well, especially Jalen Green. We'll get to him in just a second as we welcome everybody to Toyota Warriors postgame live with the Hall of Famer Chris Whelan and a couple NBA champions, Festus Ezeli and Juan Toscano Anderson. And they're off the rip. The Rockets, you have to give them credit, playing great defense there. The start, they played at their pace and held the Warriors to under 100 points for the 5th time in 7 matchups. Rockets, they did their thing tonight, JTA.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I saw a quote from Fred VanVleet after game 1. He said, we had to match their physicality, which I saw that and I immediately thought that's a different idea of what you guys showed the last time they were here in Golden State and what they showed tonight. They are showing that they're the more physical team. They're overwhelming the Warriors with their physicality. I thought in the first half they really took the Warriors out of, you know, what they do. Made them very indecisive, and I think that just kind of set the tone for the rest of the game.
Okay, yes. This is what I expected. All right, the Houston Rockets are the number 2 seed, and they're not just going to concede their whole season just in the first couple games of the playoffs. And so tonight, the Warriors, after winning the first game, you come into the second game, and this is a game 7, essentially, for the Houston Rockets. Because if you lose this game and you're going back to Golden State, that's a lose-lose. I think in the history of the NBA, every team that's won the first 2 games away has won, what, 95%?
92.6%.
So, yes, so for the Houston Rockets, you saw the sense of urgency. You saw that in the defensive physicality with the Warriors. You saw that in the rebounding efforts. I mean, it's really a shame that the Warriors lost Jimmy Butler tonight, because that really showed with the Warriors. So on one hand, the Houston Rockets are playing physical, but on the other hand, the Warriors had their worst, probably one of the worst offensive outputs of the season. Both those together caused this loss.
Yeah, Bonta, what you said to start the show here was they got their split. That's the number one thing. That's a great thing for the Warriors. Now, the biggest story is Jimmy Butler's injury. Can he come back for game 3? But we've seen a pattern here. This Rockets team has been able to set the style of play and pace of play, holding the Warriors under 100 points several
5th time in 7 matchups.
Okay, so that's what they've established. And they've got the 2 seed by playing physical, athletic defense, and then having spurts of offense. They're not a great offensive team, but tonight, that spurt was all about Jalen Green. After coming off a 3 for 15 game, he gets 38. So that's kind of that's their formula. Play solid defense all the time, and can we get enough offense? Tonight they did, but the biggest reason why was because Jimmy Butler got hurt.
Well, let's review the play here late in the first quarter as Jimmy Butler and company were going for a rebound here. Late first quarter, this was unfortunate. A pelvis contusion, the Warriors are calling it. He'll receive an MRI tomorrow, and we'll see what happens here. Ahmed Thompson misses a shot. Jimmy Butler going for the rebound. Now, dirty or not? Not sure about that. There was a lot of traffic in the post.
Not at all. I know Ahmed Thompson and his brother saw. I know his dad. He's a classy kid. You could see. It's just unfortunate timing. Draymond even kind of got tangled up with him, man, and kind of, you know, pushed him in a little bit by accident. Right. Just horrible timing. Not a dirty play whatsoever. Right. But that floor doesn't know if it's by accident or not.
Yeah,
that
really
hurts your elbow. That hurts.
I mean, Jimmy is one of the toughest dudes in the league. If you see him play through all sorts of injuries. So if he walks off the game, you know that this is a really painful experience for him. The Warriors missed him. Missed Jimmy Butler all night long. They stayed on the 3-point line the whole time. Right. Jimmy Butler is the guy that goes inside. He gets the layups. That opens things up from the 3-point line as well. So even with a good offensive output from the 3-point line, you need the inside. It just shows the importance of Jimmy Butler.
Right, and I think it's an unfortunate injury, right? There are some injuries you can play through. Pelvic contusions, you can't play through those, no matter how tough you are. So hopefully he bounces back. And as Fezzi said, you know, we saw what missing Jimmy does to the Warriors. You're shooting a lot of threes. You're not dominating in the mid-range, getting to the foul line, putting pressure on the rim. There wasn't a lot of pressure on the rim at all in that second half, and I thought that's what they were missing.
No balance to the offense. Only 43 of their 80 field goal attempts coming from the 3-point line. I would love to look at that play again because Steven Adams, Draymond Green, they're all tangled up, going for a rebound. I'm with you. I don't think Ahmed Thompson
Why do you
is
want
a
to
dirty
see that
player.
again?
Well, not just because everybody's talking about it, and Ahmed Thompson, a lot of people are saying this scurry.
You know,
look at the play.
He loses his balance. And Draymond did not mean to shove him, but they got tangled up, and he fell into Jimmy Butler. The timing of it is what was terrible. You know, a second earlier, Jimmy Butler's got the rebound, he's going on the fast break.
Listen, that Steph's reaction was all of us when this happened. All right? It was, man, what?
I can hear it with no sound on.
It is the worst feeling. It's the worst feeling to be in the air when you're playing and to lose your balance like that, and anything could have happened. Matter of fact, he could have landed on his wrist. You've seen that with Andrew Bogut. He could have so all these things are a factor. That was actually the best case scenario in that situation.
Yeah, I agree. No broken bones, just a contusion.
We'll see what the MRI says, Mark. Go ahead.
It's going to get well, but Jimmy Butler. But another trend, Bonte, we talked about this pregame, holding the Warriors into 100. Now, last game they had 20 assists and won. Tonight, just 21 assists. So the Rockets have figured out how to take out the ball movement and the body movement. I think a lot had to do without Jimmy Butler tonight, of course. But it's back-to-back games. It's way under 30 assists, 20 and 21 respectively.
Points in the paint, 46-28 Rockets. Also the offensive, the rebounding as well. They out-rebounded Warriors by 13, so they're dictating tempo. They out-rebounded the Dubs, so they got to figure something out as the series comes back to the Bay Area.
Can we leave this on a positive note? That you're going on the road in the playoffs and your job is to go get one game.
I mentioned it right off the top.
Okay.
I mentioned it right off the top. They got the split, Fezzy. Where you at? You got to reinforce it? They got the split. We get it. We get it. They got the split. But I wanted to get greedy here. I wanted to get greedy but as a series because after Game 3, this series is going to be played every other day. So this is the last little 2-day break between the Rockets and the Warriors. But the game within the game, it was physical. Draymond Green was involved. I mean, Thompson, Dylan Brooks, the usual suspects. Man, this is wild. Shangoon.
UFC? What's this?
This game got pretty chippy. I'm not mad at it. It's playoff basketball. I like to see that. I like that both teams did not back down. It's beautiful to see.
Whenever you see Steph Curry on the floor like that in the middle of a game, he saw it not once but twice tonight, this is that type of game. This is my type of game, Bonte.
You love this stuff. Now, it got chippy. You see Quentin Poston and Steven Adams. They got called for technicals here on the same play. Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green got into it. Draymond Green and Fred VanVleet talking. They're going back and forth. Now, this was a timeout. We were all discussing this, whether or not the benches are cleared, because we've seen this in playoff history. As Tari Eason, there's a towel of Pat Spencer. He catches it and just kind of swags his finger at him. Now, we've seen the playoff history before, whether it's the Knicks and the Heat in the 90s, whether it's Amari Stoudemire with the San Antonio Spurs, that players get suspended for coming off the bench, but it was a timeout. So I think nobody will get suspended, and hopefully that doesn't happen because that could change the trajectory of the series.
Also, how do you gauge that? Everybody's involved.
Everybody's
do you
involved.
Suspend everybody?
Right.
Suspend everybody.
Well, the Knicks and Heat. The Knicks and Heat.
There is a precedent. Not that it's going to happen, but they stagger the suspensions to have enough players to play. But I do think that the timeout and nothing really escalated.
Nothing
and hopefully,
happened.